We're not 30 seconds in and it already looks like we're in a big heap of trouble. Hello guys, this is UniversalGiant, and let's play VVVVVV. Or V6, or V, or the letter V 6 times, whichever you prefer. This is a simple 2D platformer developed by indie developer Terry Cavanaugh with music by Soli. We're a little blue dude! Apparently he had a bunch of other colored dudes that did not follow us through whatever teleporter they went through when their ship crashed to escape. At least it sounds something like that. I don't know what's going on. But either way, this guy's sad. Let's go make him happy. In most platformers, you use an action button to jump over spikes. In this one, you flip gravity. It's a simple little mechanic. You can only use it when you're on solid ground here. You can't flip mid-jump. So once you flip, you're committed. It'll take a little bit of getting used to your first time seeing it, but I promise I'll take it a little bit slow here in the very beginning just to make it easier for people who haven't played the game to understand what's going on, so you don't get all sick over all the flipping that's going on. But over here, looks like a little shiny thing we want to collect. Now the issue is, we can't just flip straight up unless we're on an edge. And you can move over a little bit beyond where you should be in order to flip. So for instance, if I want to run, it gives me a little bit of extra distance on the jump, which I'm going to have to need in order to bypass the stairs on the ceiling here. It's nice that they introduce you to these little mechanics as you go. Like, granted, it's secret to nobody, fairly easy to find, but it also teaches you a couple of things about the mechanics of the game that you might not have really thought about until you're forced to try it. Now we're going to find those little consoles throughout the world here, and it's important to note that these were not left by our little blue protagonist here. They're left by somebody else. We're not sure who or where they're from, but we'll learn a little bit more about them as we go. Seeing a little purple text box here. We were talking to a purple dude before we left the ship. I wonder if it's that dude. I also like how they named the ship after the person who put together the music for this game. It's really nice. You also never really just stand here and listen to all the things she has to say, but Violet does say different messages as long as you just stay here and don't advance through the room any further. Well, that's not good. That is good. But at least we know where Violet is. It does, considering we're in a completely random location. So the little blue box is where we are, and the purple box is where she is. That's our ship. But it looks like if we're able to find our own teleporter out of here, we can teleport to the teleporter back on the ship that we used to leave. We'll do the same, Violet. So, if you could also imagine the little seas that we've been passing by are checkpoints. If we happen to die, we will be sent back to whatever checkpoint is flashing at the time, whether or not it's on screen. So it's important to keep that in mind. Well, that's a nice way to say you don't need 100% to beat the game, but we're gonna do it anyway. So those things really don't have a specific name. They're referred to as shiny trinkets. You need to collect 20 out of them if you want 100% the game. And one other thing I'd like to point out is there is a quick kill button, which allows you to teleport right back to the last checkpoint that you touched immediately on command. And in the PC version, that's the R button. There are also a bunch of just about everything in this game. I'm sure you can tell if it moves, it probably kills you. Spikes are no exception to that. In fact, you'll find there are a ton of spikes in this game. But just about everything that's moving is trying to kill you, so if it looks the least bit unusual, it will probably kill you, so it's in your own best interest to avoid it. But it looks like we were finally able to find a teleporter. Guess we can get back to the ship from here. That sounds bad. What are those? That's good to know. Suppose we should start seeking out those question marks then. So indeed, all along, if we press return, we can head straight to a mini-map. We also get a list of the ship and its crew, which include us, Viridian! We finally know who we are! Including statistics, how many times we've died, how many trinkets we found, and how long it's been. We also have the opportunity to quick save, but it's not all that useful unless you feel like quitting at the time. And not all of these consoles do anything, but most of them do. Guess that's why we're stuck here. I'm sure we will. Thanks for the support, Violet. Now, in here are a list of a number of different music tracks that we can play in the ship itself. Now, if this is your first time playing, you won't be able to activate any of these until you have a certain number of trinkets, but since I've already cleared the game, we can activate some of them if we feel like it. And this is a song that you don't hear at any point in the game. This is one of people's favorite tracks played in reverse. It's kind of interesting. And this is where we're storing all of the trinkets. I guess Victoria's going to be the one looking after these. We'll be back here later. But you remember there were 6 crew members, we have 6 rooms of the ship, each one of them is, I guess, designated for one of them. Now, we do have quite a large map to explore, and although most of the rooms on here don't have anything in them, I'm going to make it a point to explore as many of the rooms on this map as I can. Even if there's nothing there, just to show you everything the game has to offer. Because we have a fairly big map that we can explore right now. And the interesting thing about this game is that the maps tend to wrap around. Like you can see, we started... I guess it's not going to be very clear until we get to the places where it specifically wraps around, but if it looks like I'm navigating this place in a really weird way, that's why. I'm trying to explore all of the rooms. Get ready to bounce. Whoa! As we have these little stringy things that we can bounce off of. This is another one of the gimmicks that's really only level specific, but it's interesting. When you clip against these, you flip automatically. I'm not flipping back. As soon as I hit it, you kind of bounce back like a rubber band effect. So you flip on your own. Well, that's not good for them. Hopefully we can find that solution they found. Now, I tend to try to hit these checkpoints before we go, just because if I mess up, it makes it easier for me to backtrack. but of course I'll be making a point to collect all of the trinkets that I can possibly find. Now there's another little trick in this game that I do pull off most of the time. If you flip against this string fast enough, you can actually clip straight through it. I think the way it works is that you're a little bit beyond it when it sends you back. You're closer to the other side than you are from where you came before, and if it still thinks that you're attached to the string, it gives you an opportunity to flip even though you're on the other side of it and you're not actually on solid ground. So it's kind of helpful to do that in some cases, but it doesn't save more than a couple of seconds most of the time. Well, that was useful. But what I love so much about this game is its visuals and its music. It's breathtaking. Like, no matter how many times I play through it, the colors, the simplistic atmosphere, the music, it's just fantastic. I mean, it's not the longest game in the world, and it won't keep you for more than a couple of hours your first time through, but it is really fun to play through time and time again, let me tell you. And occasionally these consoles will point out locations of trinkets, or fancy interesting places. I never really remember where these consoles lead you to, like which rooms they show you, because I know where everything is by now, but it's nifty that they have them there just in case you're unsure of where to go or what to do. And even if you get through the game without knowing where everything is, I believe you can talk to one of the crew members after you complete the game, and they tell you where all the trinkets are located if you're having any trouble finding them. So don't worry about that your first time through. But this area in particular is just... I get so distracted by the visuals here, they look really fancy. You have all the colored blocks moving around in the background, it's just... It's so simple, but it's just really nice to look at. Like, no matter how many times I go through this game, it never gets old staring at these backgrounds or how these rooms look, pretty colors. Maybe I'm a sucker for that sort of artistic effect, but I really like it. And one trinket that a lot of people miss their first time through, you can clip over those top spikes up there. It's really difficult to time, but you can do it. I'd also like to point out, this one room in particular, with all the colored blocks, there are very few rooms in the game that have this many colors on screen at the same time. It's really fancy to see. I'm also going to try avoiding quick killing myself unless it's really, really fast to do it. But a lot of the rooms have fancy designs, like this one called Diode. It's called a diode because you literally have no way of going back once you come in. There are too many spikes on the ceiling. I mean, it doesn't serve any practical purpose in terms of the game design, but it's just a cool design for a room. There's a lot of that in this game. Now that we've found another crew member and another teleporter, we can teleport her back to the ship.